So, before we read any of this stuff, look at this triangle. What is not given in this triangle? No angle measures. Okay? There's not an angle measure to be had other than the fact that we know that we have a right angle. So, that's what we're learning today. Remember, the ratio of sides is always equal to the trig function of those two sides, right? Knowing what that angle is. So we can work both ways. What we were finding on those last two sections is that missing side, correct? Today we're going to find the angle, all right? So we're going to, I'm going to pull up my calculator so you can find all this with me. What just happened? Okay. Get my calculator out. And I want you to look and find your sine, cosine, and tangent buttons. Y'all see them? Do you see above? -1, -1, -1. Those are what you're going to use to work backwards to figure out your angle measures. Okay? So, sine inverse, cosine inverse, tangent inverse are ways to write an expression to find the angle measures. Go ahead and put this in your little note cards. Okay? All of that can go into your note cards later on. All right. So here's an example. I want you to find the measure of angle D and the measure of angle F, and then segment DF, also known as the hypotenuse, to two decimal places. Okay, so it really makes no difference if I find angle D or angle F. Really, it doesn't. Okay, so let's say, because I wrote it first, that we find angle D first. Okay, we'll start here. Which two sides do I have with comparison to angle D? Okay, 4 and 8, but is that adjacent, hypotenuse, opposite? Opposite and adjacent. Therefore, if I want to find angle D, which trig function lends me to use the opposite and the adjacent side? There, we're going to say that the tangent of D is equal to 8/4. No, sorry. How about 4/8? Okay? So the tangent of D is equal to 1/2, correct? Yes? All right. You don't have to reduce it down. The calculator will figure out the right value no matter if you use 4/8 or 1/2. Okay, let's turn our calculator on because I want to make sure that we're in something. You should go back to mode and make sure that you are in degrees. See how my degrees is highlighted? If you are not in degrees, you're going to get answers wrong. Okay. Got them all wrong? Yeah, somehow you converted? Yeah. Okay. All right, so now we're going to go and this is what we're going to do. If I want to find an angle D, then the measure of angle D will equal the inverse tangent of, notice I'm putting this in parentheses, 1/2. Okay, so I'm going to hit, on my calculator, I'm going to hit, ooh, what the heck? I'm going to hit second tangent, and then I'm going to put 1/2, I'm just going to write 0.5. And then I'm going to close my parentheses, and I'm going to hit enter. So, what is the measure of angle D? Now, what did I say I wanted it rounded to? 26.57. Okay, so the measure of angle D is 26.57. Put your little degree symbol there. All right, how would I check myself? So you're not in degrees. Go back to your mode and make sure your degrees is highlighted. Then you didn't hit second tangent. Okay, you plug something in. How am I going to check this? Sine. Natalie? So what is the tangent of 26.57? Is it going to be exactly 1/2? Why won't it be exactly 1/2? Because you round it. All right, so check yourself. Do the sine of 26.57. What do we get? Is that pretty close? Okay. All right, so we know now that the measure of angle D is 26.57. Now, we can do this the easy way or the hard way to find angle F. We'll do it the hard way because I want you to be able to use your trig functions, and then we'll talk about the easy way, okay? Using our trig function, okay? Emma, close the door for me, would you please? Thank you. How am I going to figure out this one? What am I going to say, Gabby? So that means angle F is equal to the inverse tangent of 2. Correct? Y'all with me? All right, if the tangent of F is 8/4 or 2, then F is equal to the inverse tangent of 2. So plug it into your calculator. What do you get? What is angle F? Are we in agreement? What would have been the easy way to do this? 90 minus 26.57 also gives me this. Possibly. Okay. Then, how would I find angle DF, or side length DF? Pythagorean theorem is not allowed. So, okay, so let's say we do the sine. What angle do you want to use? Does it matter? No, I can use either angle, correct? So if I do the sine of 63.43, that's going to equal what? 8/segment DF, correct? So that means segment DF is equal to 8 divided by the sine of 63.43, which is, yes, you do. So what would my DF be? 8.94. Is it a degree? No, it's a side length, right? Not an angle measure. Does that make sense? Okay. So, if the sine of C is 0.24, then angle C is going to equal, what am I going to write? Sine inverse of 0.24. Right? So how do I plug it into your calculator? What do you get? Okay, let's try it again. Second sine 0.24. Yep, got to plug the right one in. So what are we doing? 13.89. Okay. Mary? 8.94. So who can tell me how I'm going to write to figure out what angle D is? Good. All right, do it. What do you get? This is easy. Easy speasy. Okay, here we go. You like this? Okay. I will tell you, you have to memorize those 30, 60, 90s because they are so important next year. Okay? And if we have time, I'm going to start you into some of this stuff for the 30, 60, 90s and the 45, 45, 90s. You just have to know it to do well. All right. Solve the right triangle formed. Oh, I get to draw. Okay. Solve by a water slide. All right. Obviously, we're always trying to make a right triangle, correct? Formed by water slide the ground and the ladder of the water slide. And then here's my water that you get to slide into. Okay? That's my pool. All right. What does it say here? Find the angle. Ooh, the angle of elevation. If the ladder is 10 feet and the slide is 20 feet. Okay, where does the 10 go? And where does the 20 go? Here? Hypotenuse. Thank you. Show me your right angle. Okay, so remember, where is my angle of elevation? Is it going to be at point A or point B? Angle of elevation is looking horizontally and then looking up. So angle B is your angle of elevation. So knowing that's the angle that I want, given these two sides of 10 and 20, which are with respect to angle B, what sides are they? They are the and the hypotenuse. Lend us to which trig function? There you go. So the sine of angle B is equal to 10 over 20. So the B is equal to the inverse sine of 1/2, because that's what 10/20 is, correct? Which means B is a 30-degree angle. And think about that. Doesn't that make sense? Here's home. That makes this 60, right? And doesn't that make sense that it's a 1-to-2 ratio? Oh. And then if I wanted an exact answer, what would this one be? Ah. Yes. Oh, thank you. Sorry. I got to spend more time memorizing. Okay. Claire? Angle of elevation is your ability to look up. So where are you going to be elevating? Well, if I'm here, if I want to look up, that doesn't do anything. Right? So I've got to be down here to find that angle of elevation. Okay? What is this one called? What is this called? Angle of depression. But remember, angle of depression is the same thing as the angle of elevation because we have what kind of lines? We're creating parallel lines and a transversal. Talia? I want to see this step. Yep, I do. Oh, sure. 10/20 is fine. Is there anything else? Are we good? We always check homework.